Okay, so for Mr. Doc's bandage, we'll do the same thing we did when you guys were here. So we'll use this longer absorbent Copa pad for around the front, and then we'll just use this little back one on the back where he has this kind of circumferential laceration or abrasion there. As that heals, you can discontinue that and just cover the front here. So, hey Bubba. And we did sedate him for this. He's been doing really good for us that way. So we'll just wrap this around our laceration here, covering it all in the back. We'll take our 4-inch cast padding and just use that to hold these in place. And we'll kind of overlap, about 50% or so, and just wrap all the way around a couple of times. And then once we get to the end, we'll just tuck this in so that that stays put. And that lays all nice and flat. We'll take our combi roll here, and then we have a 6-inch brown gauze. So again, we'll set this, hey sweetheart, all the way down to the ground essentially, and the level of his coronary band so that we protect those heel bulbs from his splint. We'll tuck in those edges, and then we'll pull this nice and snug to help try and eliminate any sort of wrinkles or anything like that in that bandaging. And then we'll take our brown gauze. I usually start at the bottom, or you can start at the top, doesn't matter. We'll leave a little bit of cotton exposed, and then we will pull this nice and snug, because this is going to be our main compression layer. So we'll put a good amount, some firm tension on here. And again, we want to overlap this about 50% every time we come around the leg. And I'll usually kind of pull up on the edge here just to help smooth it out. Make sure that we don't get any wrinkles in here. And same thing, we'll leave our little rim of cotton exposed at the top so that we're not putting that compression directly on his skin, and that we have some nice padding under there the whole way. And then once we get down to the bottom, same thing, kind of tuck that little edge in. And then this is the roll cotton. So we'll use this just to wrap up over the point of his hock so that that whole area where his splint is padded. We overlap that just a little bit with the bandage material underneath so that we make sure he's got some nice padding the whole way. And then we'll take another brown gauze and we'll do the same thing. So we can start down here, pulling nice and snug, making sure we don't have any big wrinkles in this bandage material, and overlapping about 50%, leaving that little bit at the top exposed, and then we'll wrap back down. And we can just finish this out down the rest of his leg. Next is going to be our vet wrap. So the vet wrap has that kind of potato chip pattern to it, so we'll pull that until those crinkles kind of come out, and that's usually a good amount of tension to put on. So again, we'll start at the bottom. Bless you. We'll leave her a little bit of cotton exposed so that he's still got that nice padding the whole way, overlapping about 50% as we wrap up his leg. And then we'll take our elasticon, and we'll use this just to seal the top and the bottom. So here at the top, We'll overlap about 50% on his skin, 50% on the bandage. And ideally we want to stretch this out beforehand, so I'll just stretch it a little bit before I actually apply it in his case, just because we don't want to put too much tension on this layer, especially where it's right on just their skin. And then we'll do the same thing at the bottom. We'll overlap that well onto his hoof, and I'll kind of wrap that up under his heel balls, like so, just to help prevent that from sliding or slipping up, and making sure that we keep those heels nice and padded so that they don't get irritated from the splint. And then the last step for him is this splint. We did just repad this bottom side. You guys may have to do that, just intermittently as that starts to wear through for him at home. But we'll set this just kind of right above the ground, just so you can get kind of almost a finger or so underneath it. And then we'll kind of secure it in place. I usually put a layer or a couple rounds in the middle, at the top and the bottom. And then we'll start wrapping it either top or bottom, doesn't matter. We'll wrap one direction for about half of the bandage, and then we'll stop and we'll change directions for the other half, just so we don't pull it, to the inside or outside with that duct tape. So I usually get it kind of stuck on there. Take a look at it, make sure it's nicely on the back of his leg. And we'll put our couple rounds on here. And then when we're wrapping it, we're gonna pull pretty snug on this duct tape because we really wanna try and compress that splint to his leg as much as we can. We'll stop and we'll change directions here. Once the whole thing is covered, we are all done.